Understanding your chart of accounts in QuickBooks. One of the most frustrating things business owners encounter when they're sitting down at their computer to set up their QuickBooks account is the chart of accounts. What are these things for, and how did all of these items get listed there? Do I have to use them all? What if I have some things I would like to track separately? These are all very good questions, and I'm here today to help you sort them out. My name is Ricky Cool of Cool Bookkeeping, and I'm here today with another QuickBooks quick tip. So let's get into it. First of all, let's talk about what the chart of accounts does for your business. The chart of accounts is a list of categories used to build your profit and loss report and your balance sheet report. And if you're in the nonprofit world, you'll know the profit and loss report as a statement of activities and your balance sheet report as a statement of financial position. So what do they tell us? Well, first of all, the profit and loss is a report that's run for a specific point in time. Generally, that's monthly. So for June of 2025, how much money did we bring in and how much money did we spend? Those are the two questions. How much did we make or lose during that period? Where on the other hand, the balance sheet, which is a separate report altogether, will give us our statement of financial position. It'll answer these questions. How much money do I have? Who owes me money? Accounts receivable and items such as that. To whom do I owe money? Accounts payable. What kind of equity do I have? And we know that equity is when you take your assets or what's of value and you subtract your liabilities or what you owe. When you subtract what you owe from what you have, what do you have left over? Now, the chart of accounts are the tags, so to speak, or the categories that you're going to use to assign every single transaction that comes through your bank accounts. Your checking account, your savings account, and all your credit card accounts, including your cash accounts. You're going to tag them with an account from the chart of accounts. So first of all, let's talk about what all of these different accounts are. Well, first of all, bank accounts are listed in your chart of accounts. If you have a checking account with XYZ Bank, then you'll have a chart of account called probably XYZ Bank checking account. Second of all, you have your liability accounts. What are liability accounts? Well, liabilities are any money that you owe. So that's credit cards, taxes that you've withheld because they're sales tax or they're employee wage taxes, things of that nature. Those two items, bank accounts and liability accounts, are going to show up on your balance sheet. We also have debts or money you owe to someone else. That goes on your balance sheet. We also have assets. Assets are things that you own that have resale value. They show up on the balance sheet. Generally, assets are only going to be listed on the balance sheet if they have a value of $2,500 or more, but that's a rule of thumb. Different companies have different rules for how they track assets. Fifth, we have income categories or ways you make money. That shows up not on the balance sheet, but on the profit and loss. Income categories can be as simple as one being sales or income or donations received. But you might have many income categories listed as well. Let's say you have sales and you also have services, and then as a part of your services, you have different services that you offer. You probably will want to track each one of those income categories separately. It's really up to you. And then we have expense categories or ways you spend money. Your expense category can technically be as simple as operating expenses. But remember, these reports are there to give you information so you can make decisions about running your business. And that's why it's important you break them down, but only break them down into categories that are useful to you. So here's a question we're going to answer. How many items do I need in my chart of accounts? Do I have to use all of these? And the answer is no. You can make it as simple or complex as you want it. But in my experience, Most business owners, in theory, would like to know the detailed answers to be able to cook up the numbers any way they want, to be able to analyze how their business is doing. But in my experience, the more complex you make your chart of accounts, the less problem you have with accuracy, or the more problem you'll have with accuracy, rather, they're less accurate, because tracking those individual income and expense categories all the way down to minute details means it's more work for you. So let's look at a typical chart of accounts for a sample company that we have here. This is QuickBooks sample category. And we see first here we have account type and the name of the chart of account item. We can name these anything we want by clicking the edit button. We'll get a screen that will let us change the name if we would like to. Checking 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to hit save here. Sorry, my image was blocking it there. So now I've renamed that checking 1, 2, 3. Savings account. You'll notice QuickBooks right here gives us a tag that tells us where these items are going to show up on the balance sheet. This one is an asset, so it's going to show up on the balance sheet. Savings, accounts receivable, inventory, prepaid expenses, or expenses that we've incurred that we've not yet gotten product or services for. Maybe we've prepaid for someone to come and paint the office building, for example. That's actually an asset that we have coming to us. And on down we could go. Now I want to go down here to the ones that are going to show up on the profit and loss statement. We have billable expenses, design income, discount given, fees billed, landscaping services. And so you can see this particular sample company even breaks down landscaping services into 2 subcategories, job materials and labor. And then they break their job materials down into 4 subcategories: decks and patios, fountains, plants and soil, sprinklers and drip systems. Now you're the one that's going to decide how much detail you would like to give here. But again, if you're a small business, if you're doing your bookkeeping yourself, the more detailed you get here, the more work it's going to be for you to run down the transactions and find out that $30 deposit, was that for deck and patio work, or was that, job materials, or was that the installation that we did on labor? So it's your call how detailed you want to give it. You could just say landscaping services, or you could say services sold and then track labor as a separate job cost. And you can see on and on they go here: advertising, automobile expenses, bank charges, etc. Now, when you ran your, if you have been in here long enough and you have messed with any of these items here, you'll notice that when you go to edit them, or when you go to set up a new item on your chart of accounts, you're going to be asked these 2 questions: the account type and the detail type. These will determine whether they're going to show up on the balance sheet or the profit and loss. If I try to change accounts receivable, and maybe this isn't a good one for us to do because accounts receivable is a standard report QuickBooks is going to give us. Let's go down here and do one that we know is not put there by QuickBooks. Let's change our pest control services and edit it. And we're going to say now that this is not an income account. I'm going to change this to an expense account. QuickBooks is going to give me this error here that says changing the type or detail type of an account may affect your accounting and reporting. Are you sure you want to do this? What's it saying? Well, it's saying that if you take this away from an income category and put it down as an expense category, it's going to change where this category shows up on your chart of accounts. So I'm just going to go ahead and say yes. And now QuickBooks is going to ask me this detail type. What kind of expense is this? Is this advertising, automobile, bank charges? Most of the time in a situation like this, we're just going to call it office or general administrative expenses. Let's say it's pest control that we needed to have done for our offices. And then when we click save, then we can see here that it's going to show up in a different place. So now if I go back here to my reports and run a standard report, let's find that pest control. Let's run a profit and loss. And remember, pest control was up here earlier, if you remember that. Now we're going to find this pest control services down here on the bottom. You'll notice, however, that it now has a negative in front of it. What would be a negative expense? Well, a negative expense is actually income. Why do we have a negative expense? Well, because this was money deposited into the bank account and tagged pest control. If I go back over here to my chart of accounts and I go to pest control and I change it back to an income account, let's see if I can find it. Pest control services. And I'm going to change it back to an income account. It's again going to give me the error. Yes, I want to change this. What kind of this? This is other primary income. And I'm going to hit save. And now we're going to go back and run that report one more time and see that it's popped back up to the income section of the profit and loss, and the negative amount is going to go away. So now pest control is an income item, and we've gotten rid of the negative there. I hope this helps. I hope it at least gives you a little bit of exposure as to what the chart of accounts is for. But the rule of thumb is use only what you need. You can always begin breaking down into greater details later as you realize your business needs new information. If this video has been helpful, I wish you would press the subscribe button. That will help me out tremendously. Also, if you have additional questions that I'd be able to make videos about in helping you understand how to use QuickBooks or what your business reports are telling you, I would love to be able to help you with that. Just drop your comments and your questions in the box below. Thank you. Have a good day.